Will it work? I thought midterms were always a referendum on the incumbent. Can he change the narrative to make a referendum on the former president?
They are, by the way. Welcome from the dark side, Tucker.
Thank you, Frank.
Yes, it is supposed to be a referendum. And what I don't understand is, just look at the numbers. We had a pretty large deficit back in 2008. Now in 2010, it's gone from billions to trillions. Our debt is greater in the last year and a half of the Obama administration than for 200 years before that. The unemployment rate when the stimulus passed was at 8%. Now it's at 9.5%. Statistic after statistic, the Obama administration wants you to forget what's happening today. That's why they're trying to focus on the past. But I'll tell you something. The American people vote no in off-year elections. They vote no for the direction. They vote no for the policies. And it's their chance to send a message to Washington. And what Obama is afraid of is that they will send this huge message to Washington, just like 1994, giving Republicans a majority, at least in the House.
Well, you know, it may be, I was saying about this before the show, it's possible that they're looking backwards and blaming the former president, who many people dimly remember. I mean, it has been, a year and a half, because they can't brag about what they've done. And yet they're trying. Take a look at this. This is the president in Las Vegas yesterday.
We knew it would take us months, years to dig ourselves out of the holes that we found ourselves in. That's longer than anybody would like. But here's what I also know. An economy that last year was shrinking by 6% is now growing. An economy that was shredding jobs at an unbelievable pace. We've now had 6 months in a row of private sector job growth. That's because of policies that Harry Reid helped bring about. We have turned things around, and we are moving in the right direction.
Can you do this, Frank? I mean, I know you look speechless. I am, too. Can you, in the face of 10% unemployment and a deficit this large, a debt that is going to match GDP shortly, can you really brag about the economy?
I don't want to sound too statistical, but let me rattle off a couple of public opinion findings from the last couple of weeks. First, only a third of Americans think the country's headed in the right direction. Almost two-thirds think we're pretty seriously off on the wrong track, and that number's been expanding. Second, a majority of Americans now believe that their children are going to have a worse quality of life than they have had. Third, 57% of Americans think that the country is not going to be as strong for their children as it is for them right now. And fourth, they think that Washington is completely out of control, that politicians don't understand the concerns of average Americans, and that it is because of what Congress is doing is making things worse, not better. Tucker, the numbers are overwhelming. You know I polled in 1994. I was involved with the contract with America. I will tell you that on every single statistical measurement, the Democrats are in more trouble today than they were in July of 1994 when they lost control of the House and Senate.
And boy, have they earned it. This guy has failed faster than I've ever seen a president fail, and it's deserved. He is a profound phony. He is exactly what he said he wouldn't be. He said he'd be a uniter, a big picture guy. He has turned out to be small and vindictive and vituperative and nasty. And I'm wondering if people notice. I mean, do people want the president to be constantly carping at the other party like a man on a campaign stump, or do they want him to rise above it? I thought always the latter.
3 words. They want you to get it done. It's really that simple, and it's really rich that he comes to Nevada to criticize the Republicans when twice Barack Obama criticized companies for coming to Nevada, and twice he caused cancellations of tens of thousands of room nights in this very place. I'm coming to you from Nevada. By the way, they're the #1 unemployed state in the country, over 14% unemployment. And much of that can be directly attributed to what Barack Obama said about companies choosing to hold conventions or meetings right here in Nevada. And he sits right next to Harry Reid. You got to wonder, why does Harry Reid sit next to Barack Obama?
Because he has no choice. This man is holding on by his fingertips. There is no chance he's getting above 40% in this election. His only chance of winning is by splitting the vote and getting the plurality. Let me ask you about what is shaping up.
Wait. Let me throw one thing out to you, because no one knows this in America. There is a none of the above on the Nevada ballot.
That's right.
That's what Harry Reid is hoping for, that those who are opposed to him but don't want to vote Republican, that maybe 3 or 4% will vote for none of the above. If they do, that saves Harry Reid's seat here in Nevada.
They're not even hoping to get to 51. They know it's impossible. Very quickly, apparently the strategy on the Democratic side on the Hill is shaping up to be this: pass it all during a lame duck session. Even if Republicans take the House, Democrats apparently have plans to pass climate legislation, card check, raise taxes. Can they get away with this? Will the public stand for this, or will there be some kind of rebellion?
You know, legislatively, they can get away with it. It has happened before. But in terms of a public opinion standard, let me tell you, we've looked at this over the last few days. The ratio is 3-to-1. If you think the public is angry now at Washington, Tucker, if they did this by 3-to-1, the public would oppose this effort. Even a narrow majority of Democrats would not want their party to push something through, because that would be a complete rejection of what the American people would have said in November. You know, let's take partisanship aside. What really matters is some way for this country to come together, to work together, to move forward, to get that optimism back. You do something so cynical, Washington,
yes,
as to ignore the American people in November, then you deserve everything you get in December and for the next 2 years.
Let's hope it's a vigorous spanking. Frank Luntz. Thanks, Frank. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Don't change that dial. The great American